All right, everyone, welcome to this episode of Delano Podcast News. My guest today is Don Bynum. He is the CEO of Temblor Brewing Company out of Bakersfield, California, so stay tuned. Welcome, Don. How are you, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, good to have you on this. You are Temblor Brewing Company out of Bakersfield, California. You guys have great stuff there. You got a good venue. You guys are starting out, really starting to bring a lot of shows into Kern County, Bakersfield. So, I mean, it's great. Tell us more about Temblor Brewing Company.
Thank you. Yeah, we turned 3 years old in September of 2018. We are starting to feel like we're maturing as a company. We've got our core beer brands, moving in the marketplace, and we've actually, we're now selling north of Delano all the way up to Fresno and Modesto, and then we're heading on to the Central Coast with our core three brands, and then some of our specialty products like the core three are Streets of Bakersfield IPA, El Cerrito Mexican style lager, Under a Blood Orange Sky Belgian Wit, and then we have some seasonals like the Facilitator, Hazy, and then we did like a Christmas Facilitator also, which was quite popular in December. We'll bring that back next year, and then we have some specialty bottle bourbon barrel aged products, and then also some wine barrel aged products. We are looking to release some sour beers later this year, so we're starting to work on those. So yeah, we're getting into the real fun stuff now.
Sounds like it, man. Now, the El Cerrito, you could kind of relate that more to like a Corona or something, or
so El Cerrito is a full-bodied Mexican style lager. It's all barley malt versus many of the other lagers are using rice or corn. So it's a craft version of the the Modelo's and the Coronas and those types of beers.
Now, I do know the Under a Blood Orange Sky, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that one is very, very good.
Thank you.
I've tried that one, and that one's very, very good because I was there at Temblor, and I remember it was like, well, what do you got that's kind of like a Blue Moon or something like a Heffenweizen or something? Oh, look, try Under a Blood Orange Sky, and I was like, well, give it to me. It was great. Really, really good, smooth beer. And your root beer, their draft root beer, you guys draft that there?
We do create that at Temblor, yes.
Yeah, that is very, very good. So I have to really commend you on that.
Thanks.
Because I like to try any time someplace makes their own root beer, I like to really try them out. And the fact that you guys nailed it, I was like, wow, it's really right there on the top ones that I have tried over the years. So, I mean, I really commend you on that.
Thank you. I hear that a lot. Mike Lottie, our head brewer, brought that recipe from his home in Minnesota when he moved here. And we didn't make it at first, but when we finally did, everyone was pretty pleasantly surprised. So, and the kids seem to love it. So we'll keep making it. And then maybe someday we'll bottle it, hopefully. So.
Well, the day you bottle it, I will be there because I'm going to want to get some of that in bottle for sure. You guys have a full restaurant, right?
Correct.
Pretty much full restaurant.
Correct.
You guys have entertainment. There's weekly entertainment. It's kind of normal, as well as you guys have special shows. You guys bring in artists from all around, and especially comedy. That's a great thing to see a venue like yours in a restaurant, brewery, everything kind of just bringing that and making a place for someone to go and check out because we have Rabobank, we have the Fox Theater, and there's other venues, but there's just nothing quite to have something different like that. I think it's really cool to have that. Is there anything in the future? What do you guys got planned next?
So, so with all the events and the restaurant, the whole purpose of all that was to support, was to build a place that the community was proud of, that we can support the arts with, that we can build the beer brands with, bringing people in for, anything from line dancing to open mic comedy to, jazz, which we now have on Tuesdays, to all the big big name comedians, and then also some of the live music. The whole purpose was to build a brand around the arts, and the art of craft beer being, the main focus. And so our goal is to be a regional craft brewery that produces beer for a 100-mile radius around us primarily. And then at the same time, we've been blessed and did not expect to get some of the names, comedians to come, that we've been able to have. So that's just been, added so much fun to the mix. So yeah, we're what's coming up next? Probably trying to plan for a second location, either a little tap room or a small restaurant somewhere, not necessarily in Bakersfield, but somewhere within a 100-mile radius would be our focus.
Oh, that's awesome, man. 'Cause that's a great thing. If you're looking to expand into another location, that's great. It means you're doing wonderful. You like how you said about your shows. You guys have had some really cool names. You guys had Joey Diaz last month. Is it next month? You guys, is it Nick Swartzen?
We have Nick Swartzen
coming up pretty soon. Those are big names. Those are really good names.
Yeah, Nick is probably the biggest. We sold out two 320-seat shows for him, and pretty early. And there's a pretty high level of demand for more tickets, but we only have so much room. So, and you mentioned the other big venues earlier. The Fox will hold 1,500 seats. We hold 320 for a ticketed comedy show. So there's a huge gap in between. And so Bakersfield is still missing kind of that in between, anywhere from 320 to up to 1,500. The Fox will take some of those shows, but the sweet spot for the Fox is when they can get a show where they sell out 1,500. So
I don't know about you, but I'm more of I like the smaller settings. I mean, you can go to a huge concert in an arena or even Fox or Rabobank. Those are cool, but the ones where they're smaller, where you can kind of like really get a little more personal, where it's smaller space, those are the fun ones.
Yeah,
they're better.
Yeah, they're more intimate, and I think your relationship with the other people at the show is different than if you're at a big show. And of course, you're closer to the comedian or the musicians, and that just makes it more special.
So, starting this company, what goes through your mind when you say, I'm going to start a brewing company, or I'm going to start brewing my own craft beers? What goes through someone's mind when they want to start that?
Well, when I think back, sometimes I wonder if I was crazy, but a lot of things went through my mind. It was a long process for me. It all started with, discovering Belgian beer, which, for those of you who don't know, Belgian beer is typically stronger in alcohol, sweeter and less bitter than other beers that you would have. So I had what's called a Belgian triple, which is made with wheat and barley and oats. And I took a sip of, this is like about 9 years ago now. I took a sip of that and I said, this doesn't taste like beer. What is this? And of course it was beer. It was just a much different style from Europe. And so I ended up going to Europe shortly thereafter, visiting Belgium, visiting some breweries there, visiting a bunch of the famous beer bars, and experiencing the beer culture. And that's when I really became obsessed with the idea of craft beer. And Belgium and Germany are the original craft brewers, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years. As we're in the United States, it just took off in the 80s and 90s. So really the godfathers of craft beer are the Europeans. So when I got back from that trip, I started experimenting with home brewing and making my own beers at home and learning the science and reading books and those types of things. And then, the entrepreneurial itch, I call it. Some people have it, others don't. I had it in a very bad way, and that it just made me want to start my own business with a really heavy intensity. So I was lucky to have a couple of partners, my friends Tom Maxwell and Derek Miller, to help start things, write a business plan, gather investors, and we were lucky enough to have local investors back us up on what we think of as a very long-term business. It wasn't built to be profitable right off the bat. It's a long-term building of beer brands, and bringing the community into a huge space. Sometimes I think our space is way too big. It is hard to maintain a big space like that. But I'm very proud and glad that we did it. It's been pretty hard, and it's getting easier. But the first couple of years were really tough.
They say it. What is it? You really know you've made it. You got to put in the effort and the time. It's like 10,000 hours or something. It's like almost the equivalent to about 8 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you really see after 10 years, you look back and see how much you actually put into it and how much you've learned, how much you've grown as a business. You guys are at your, third year? Right?
We're going on 3.5. Yeah. It from the day we opened the doors, the business plan was probably just about, 5 years ago now that we started that process. Yeah. So about 18 months from the start of the business plan to when we opened.
So you guys are literally living the dream, because everybody has that group of friends. Hey, let's open up a bar. Let's start making our own thing. It's just a lot of talk. A lot of people always do that. You've heard everybody talk about that.
Absolutely.
You're literally living the dream, or living the talk. You're walking the talk, or is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, it actually, it involves sacrifice and, being able to figure out how to still earn a living and start a business is very difficult. It was for me, and I think it's incredibly difficult for anybody to learn how to do that, to figure out when you need to, jump all in or not, and who's going to do what work. And it's just it's a tough, it's a very high risk thing to do, and but hey, there's a lot of people that are doing that now, and there's a lot of young people starting businesses and risking everything, and it's pretty awesome to see that happen. I see a lot of that happening in Bakersfield right now.
Oh yeah, there's all over the place. I mean, I think I noticed Temblor, and then there was, first I remember Lengthwise, and then you started seeing more, and now it's like every time I turn around, it's like there's someone new in the news. There's another craft brewery that's opened up in Bakersfield, and that's great. They have so many options, but and then it's not going to hurt anybody, because everybody's going to have their favorite. Everybody's going to want to go wherever they want to go. So there's room, and there's competition there's room for everybody.
There is. So there's actually room for, we think there's room for 8 to 10 breweries in Bakersfield. Many of the ones that are starting up are, they're going to start small, and they're going to, like you said, gain a loyal following. But the thing I love about the craft brewing industry is the collaboration that happens between fellow craft brewers, and the relationship that we have with each other is it's more collaborative than almost any other industry. So it's a really fun to be a part of that, and see it on a national scale and a state scale is also, in California, there's almost 1,000 breweries now.
Wow.
Yeah. And Bakersfield, 10th or 9th largest city in California, only has, Great Change just opened up. So we've got 4 breweries right now, and Crusader's on its way. So we'll have 5. We're way under breweried.
Yeah.
compared to the rest of California.
If you really think about it, Bakersfield, if you get that many breweries, it could be, like up north's got wine country. You got Paso Robles with wineries and everything. Well, you have Bakersfield with breweries. That wouldn't be a bad thing, right?
No, in fact, I think, just 5 years ago in Los Angeles, you had maybe a couple dozen breweries, and now there's like 100.
Wow.
So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see, each one have their own personality and their own styles that they're creating and that kind of thing. So I'm excited because, Lengthwise, I'm sure is excited too. They were the only game in town for like 17 years or something like that. And that had been really hard for them to be the only craft brewers. And, 17 years, that's a long time. So,
Having more craft brewers like you and all the others that have opened up, that's probably helped them in a way, because it's kind of bringing shining the light on craft breweries. Because people, I mean, probably before that, it was like, oh, everybody knows the same ones you can always buy, or there's very few that you'd probably hear outside of that. But when we have such a selection locally, it just makes it so much better. And you can say, oh, well, I'll try this one. Oh, did you hear about this one? Boom. It's just kind of like word of mouth that really kind of gets everything moving around town.
Yeah. And people understanding that, that local breweries are supporting each other, that local breweries, the people that work and own local breweries are drinking each other's beer. I mean, that kind of thing is hard to not pay attention to. Because we are making beers that are just as good or better than many of the, the national brands. And so it's, there's a lot of talk about drinking local. I think the more successful local breweries we have, the better everyone's going to do. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. So is there any plans do you guys only do bottles and cans right now? Are you guys doing kegs? Are you guys delivering?
Oh yeah,
kegs?
we have kegs. We started with just kegs in the very beginning. We're on draft, I would say 20 to 25 places around Bakersfield. And then, we've got some accounts in Tehachapi, and I'm not sure if we're anywhere here in Delano, but I know our cans are available in some stores here.
Really? What stores are you available here?
I don't have those on me, but I'm happy to get back to you on that.
For sure. Yeah. We'll definitely want to, we'll probably find out once you let us know. We'll go tag or take a picture. That way people can know where they can get it locally. We'll have to get you in connection with some of the places here.
Yeah. We have two sales guys. We have two sales guys that are spending, full time, traveling around the state and Bakersfield selling our beer. So I can, they can come up here and meet with anyone or meet with you and whoever, to get our beer into the stores.
Yeah.
So
probably on tap, because that Mexican style lager, that probably work really good here in Delano. Got plenty of
absolutely
demographic for that. So, I mean, it's any last words, anything in the works, or anything you can.
Well, I could tell you about our new beers that are coming.
Oh yeah.
So one thing that we do at Temblor is we're lucky enough to have a small system that we used before we installed the large brew house, and so we make almost one new beer every week on this thing. And like since we've been open, we've probably made 300 different beers on this small batch system.
Wow.
And almost every single one of them was different. Like we've probably remade like maybe 5 or 6. So on that, we have what's called a Brute IPA coming up. It's kind of a new up and coming style. It's more of like a champagne-ish type of IPA. Really low malt body, really light golden ale with heavy hops, and then a little bit of extra carbonation. So that's a fun one. We are making a peach milkshake IPA, and we'll be canning that.
Peach milkshake.
Milkshake.
What is that going to taste like?
So
is it literally the name? What it's
so the reason they call it milkshake or the reason we call it milkshake, it's kind of a fad right now in craft beer, but you add vanilla and lactose, which is an unfermentable sugar. And so you're making an IPA, then you're making it sweeter, adding that vanilla, and then the fresh fruit. So the fresh fruit create, the vanilla and the fresh fruit create that milkshake-ness to it. And they're intense, but they're pretty delicious and hard to say no to. We will have 4 packs of that beer, probably in early April, I believe. And then what else do we have? I can't remember what our other one-hit wonder is coming, but we did just release the Facilitator, a Doppelbock that is 10% alcohol. It's a German-style malty lager. Mm-hmm. And then we have our hazy Northeast-style IPA, the hazy-style IPA also. So yeah, we're excited about all these seasonals. And then I'm releasing a Chardonnay barrel-aged Belgian-style beer on Thursday, tomorrow. It's a strong Belgian amber.
I think I saw that. You guys had that on the page. You were kind of amping it up that you guys are going to be releasing that.
Yeah.
What does the barrel? You said it's barrel aged, right?
Yeah.
So what does that do to the flavor, or what does that do to the beer?
So
There's something special about it, obviously.
Yeah. So in this case, we're using a Chardonnay barrel from Sextant Winery on the Central Coast, and we're imparting those Chardonnay and oak flavors into the beer. So if you're familiar with Chardonnay, it can be kind of buttery, fruity, green apple, those types of flavors coming into a malty beer, and the combination of the two things with the oak, it just makes a very complex, very, very beautiful aroma and flavor that is hard to describe.
You got to literally try it.
Yeah, you got to experience it, and then you can try to describe it. But it is more like wine. It's bringing the wine world into the beer world, and the aromas and flavors in wine are more subtle than beer. So I'm excited about that project. It's called Quercus. The scientific word for oak tree is what we've named it, and that's a fun one. It's a very small batch, so you have to come to the brewery to get a bottle of it, and we bottle condition those bottles, which means we re-ferment the beer inside the bottle to naturally carbonate the beer, which is a Belgian tradition that is pretty rare here in California, but we're committed to doing it. We're hand bottling these. It's a very hands-on project, which is fun. So
it's amazing. All the things it just sounds like there's endless possibilities when it comes to craft beers and craft breweries. They're just gonna the options that people are gonna have in different flavors and different style bodies, everything that you're gonna be able to try is just gonna be endless in the future. And if all these breweries keep growing, we're gonna have endless amounts of things to try.
We're gonna be spoiled.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna be spoiled.
Yeah. So,
but
well, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you being on here. Is great to have you on here. Looks like the video might have froze, but we still got the audio here. We're still good. Thank you again for being here on this episode. We'll join this on Facebook. This episode will be live on Facebook and
awesome.
Clips on Instagram. You can listen to the full audio episode on Apple Podcasts. If you have Android, you can hear it on SoundCloud. All of our episodes are on there. So everyone stay tuned. Go check out Temblor Brewing Company. They are out of Bakersfield, California. If you don't know where that's at, it's on, what's the address? It's
3200 Buck Owens Boulevard, just north of the Crystal Palace.
Yeah. If you know where the boulevard is, over there on the, you know where Temblor is. It's just right next to it. So go check it out. Go try all their craft beers that they have to offer. They have great food. They are one of the few places in Bakersfield that has the Impossible Burger, which I really enjoy that you guys have the Impossible Burger around, because not very many places have it. So it's great to have a place to go and have that. If you're a vegetarian, vegan, it's great.
It's a popular item for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you guys do a great job of cooking it. So, I really like it. So go check them out. Check out them on Facebook, Instagram. They have events going on all the time. You want to check out any comedy shows, local entertainment acts. They're the place right now. So go check them out. We'll see you guys on the next episode.